Welcome everybody to the to this workshop on Intro to LinkedIn. Okay, this is how we're gonna get business using LinkedIn. This is how we're gonna get clients. This is how we're gonna build relationships using LinkedIn. So this is part of a series of workshops that Amanda and I are doing specifically on digital marketing. So if you've seen any of our stuff before, you might hear a couple things repeated, but it's probably stuff that you need to hear. So let's get started right away. Amanda, let's pull up the scary slide here. Everybody see what we're going to get into. Big thing is, guys, if nobody knows that you exist, your business will fail. We all kind of know that, but I wanted to kind of bring it up so that we think about it in those terms, okay? People need to know that you exist. And of course, we're talking about LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about how we use LinkedIn to make sure people know you exist, okay? We don't want your business to fail. Will this be you? We don't want this to be you, okay? This is not what we want for you. But what we need to really understand here is that... Go ahead, Amanda. I'm going to let you handle this.
Right. Most people do LinkedIn wrong. The reality is, if you're viewing people, even if they're happy, as dollars and cents, you're doing it incorrectly. People, your customers, are not dollars and cents. When you start viewing your customers as people, as humans that you want to have a relationship with, that's really what's going to make you successful. And most people on LinkedIn don't do that.
Amanda, you're the LinkedIn expert. We're actually going to be going over your specific system. And I want people to understand that if they wrap their minds around how you do this, then they're going to be in the top 5% of people on LinkedIn. Out of the millions and millions of people on LinkedIn, they'll be in the top 5%. Is that fair to say?
I think that really is fair to say. And this is basically the basic concept behind all of it, is just understanding and viewing people, your customers or potential customers, as people. And it really is all about the relationships. And this, as we went through this and we're putting it together, I understand that sometimes it can be very vague. Like, we want to go to that sales aspect really quickly. So we're going to talk a lot about building that relationship and going back to really what that means.
And that's a theme. If this is your first time, then you're going to hear us say this, but that's a theme throughout all of our videos, is marketing in general, not just LinkedIn, but all marketing. I don't care if it's Google, social media, whatever, is all about building relationships. And if you can understand that, you're going to be much better off. So real quick, our mission with all these different classes here, everybody, is to provide high quality digital marketing training and solutions to small business owners. We're looking to help the small guys so they can compete with the bigger brands, with the big franchises, right?
Absolutely. I think we both share this common core value in our businesses. And really, it's not even just about competing. We want to help you guys beat the big brands.
And if you do it in a way that builds relationships, you absolutely can do that. We've done it both in our businesses, and we've helped, hundreds of other small businesses do the same. So let's skip over to who we are real quick. Okay, so we've got Amanda Reed here from Reed Mobile Marketing. We're going to talk a little bit more about our stories here, but you have a business that does what?
We help businesses reach people where they are, and that's on their phones. So if you want to help reach your customers or potential customers where they are, which is on their phones, that's basically all we do.
Cool. And I'm Joe Burnich with Big West Marketing. Okay, got a small team here in Missoula, Montana. We're both here in Montana, but we work with companies all over the country. I actually have several clients in the UK, Australia, Canada, so I guess we're considered an international company. But we mainly focus on mobile-first websites that actually get clients. They don't only look pretty, but they actually also get business, phone calls, clients, whatever, people in the door. And then we use Google primarily to get eyeballs onto those websites. And we like to combine like all the social media, LinkedIn, Google. We like to combine and layer all this stuff, stack it and use and combine it together. And it'll work, 10 times better if you do it that way. And we'll get into that a little bit. Let's talk about Amanda Reed here. Amanda, tell us a little bit about you personally, how you got into this game.
Awesome, thanks. So about 10 years ago, I was a single mom with 5 very young kids. This was us back then. And this idea of text message marketing was presented to me. And at that time, I thought it was brilliant. The reason being was that I realized like 90 to 95 5% of my communication was all via text message. When I said I had talked to somebody, really I had texted them. At this stage in my life, nobody wanted to have a phone conversation with me. It was nearly impossible with the background noise and the distractions. So I thought the idea of being able to present this to business owners and having them be able to market to their customers or potential customers was genius. What I didn't realize, I was a really early adopter to text messaging. So I can remember explaining to business owners what a text message was. It wasn't like they even understood the basic concept, let alone how they would use that with their customers. So over the last 10 years, we've been able to take that messaging and the idea of meeting people on their phones and really integrate strategies that help business owners do that. And we found that that really was the key. It wasn't the software, it wasn't the technology. It was really just the strategy behind it and how to help you guys meet your customers and really build relationships with them.
Nice. And how old are your kids now? I mean, what are the ranges?
Oh,
you have 5 kids. And
I do have 5 kids.
You have a foster kid too.
Yeah. So right now, at this current time, they range from 20 to 12.
I have 2 kids. I kind of feel like a failure. But anyway, so here's my team. This is the Big West team. It's changed a little bit. Overlooking beautiful Missoula, Montana. This is for our Christmas card, this specific picture here. So that's why we are dressed the way that we are.
Wait, you guys don't dress that way every day?
I do wear that sweater every day.
So.
I'm actually wearing that right now. No, just kidding. But anyway, I moved to Missoula back in 2009. Moved back to Missoula. I was originally born here. I moved back and had a new wife, a new baby. That's Camilla. She's 10 years old now. But this is back in 2009. Had no job. Had no prospects. And I decided to start a carpet cleaning business from the advice of one of my dad's friends. No idea what I was doing, but I took a chance, bought some equipment, loaded up the minivan, and was just waiting for the business to roll in. And I'll tell you what, nothing happened. What I had to do was I had to really dig in to this website and Google and just online marketing stuff until I figured it out. And it wasn't easy, but once I did, my phone rang off the hook and I decided I'm going to start doing this for other companies. So now we've got over 950 clients and now we've got this stuff figured out, and all we do is just help other small businesses do what we did. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to talk about a simple step-by-step plan. Like I said, this is Amanda's program. This is her strategy she uses for LinkedIn, and it's not complicated, guys, but we do want you to take notes. So turn off the phone, get some paper, get a pen, and let's jump into this, okay? And we are going to keep it simple. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy. His name's Tony Robbins. No, we went and saw him last year.
Yeah, last March.
Yeah, and he said something that kind of hit me. Complexity is the enemy of execution. When we started out this PowerPoint, it was complicated.
No, it wasn't.
It was complicated.
Okay.
We've taken all of the complicated stuff out of there. And it's good because I'm not a LinkedIn person. So I was able to sift through and find the stuff that was just too much. So like I said, we want to keep this stuff simple. And our big promise to you is, why don't you give the promise?
Right. We basically want to help you understand why LinkedIn is genuinely the best social media channel if you're in the business-to-business sales or industries, and we really want you to have a plan to help you use LinkedIn, and not just use LinkedIn. We want you to increase your sales.
It's funny, somebody here just put something into the chat box, and they're saying that they've tried LinkedIn and it doesn't work. What would you say to that?
Right, and we hear that all the time. So as you mentioned, this is my strategy. This is what I've used to get business, and that's what we're sharing with you today. But I will tell you, just like any other social media site, if you're not strategic about how you're going to use it, it probably isn't going to work.
So there's more than one way to do LinkedIn, that sounds like.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we're going to talk about your way. Like I said, step-by-step, simple step-by-step plan. Does that sound good, everybody? If that sounds good, please type yes into the message box. Let's get a little interaction going here. You guys can chime in anytime, whether or not we're able to answer all questions or address everybody that makes a comment here. We want to respect your time and ours, so we're going to keep this. We don't want to rush through it, but we want to keep it short because time is valuable.
Right.
Okay?
And if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat box. Even if we can't get to them, we will get back to you one-on-one.
Cool. And so, Amanda, you told us a little bit about yourself, but let's talk about the story that actually got you into the LinkedIn side and how you started getting a lot of clients with LinkedIn. How'd that work?
Absolutely. So this is me and my 5 wonderful children. At this point in time in our lives, we were living in Bend, Oregon. And that's where I was born and raised. I was born and raised in Central Oregon. And life was good. I was about 5 years into building my business, and business was starting to go really good. And then something happened, and I did what everybody thinks you should do. I met a boy, and we decided to get married. And that meant that the kids and I were relocating to Missoula, Montana, which we did. It was great. The only problem was I was in a new town. I didn't know anybody except my husband, and I wasn't connected at all in the business community. So I had to do something to really get myself into my new home, my new community. For me, the solution was LinkedIn. I used it to generate leads and sales almost immediately. But more than that, I used it to connect myself in the community. Not only establish myself as an expert, but really get other people that I could find out about what's going on in the business community and really have resources and referral network here in Missoula.
So, Amanda, it sounds like your LinkedIn strategy, it's not something you read out of a book. It's not some kind of online course. This came out of necessity. Like, you just had to get business going in a city where you knew absolutely nobody, and you figured it out. Does that sound right?
Absolutely. And I think the thing that I know I'm fortunate about is that this is what came natural to me. This is what I wanted to do to meet people, but this isn't just some strategy that someone said would work. This is like a proven, this is what I did to build a network and build sales because I didn't have any other choice.
Why LinkedIn?
So the main reason is that people are there to do business. People spend a lot of time on social networks, on all sorts of social networks, but they're there to invest their time when they're on LinkedIn. They are there to do business. Here's some numbers, and I'm not going to get super into all the numbers with you guys because I know some people get bored with that. But the biggest one that sticks out to me is 93% of business marketers consider LinkedIn to be the most effective site for lead generation. That's almost 100% of people in the business-to-business world consider it to be the most effective site. Simply put, LinkedIn works.
And what about the income of people? Like people that I've heard some numbers, but tell me what the latest is as far as like the amount of money people earn that are on LinkedIn.
Right. It is a professional networking site, right? So on average, people earn at least $75,000 a year or more. So it's people that are professional people that genuinely have an adequate income and want to build other business relationships.
So a little bit different than like the Instagram and Snapchat crowds, right?
Hey, don't say anything bad about the Instagram and Snapchat crowds. The reality is we know that these are business professionals. So if you want to reach business professionals or want to reach people that are in the business realm, this is the place you need to be.
Got it. Okay, cool. You may have seen this before if you've watched any of our workshops. I think we're going to start calling this staircase marketing, right?
Right, absolutely.
And the big thing is, you don't want to propose on the first date. You want to build a relationship, and sometimes that takes multiple steps and takes some time. You're not going to just do one thing and have sales come rolling in. You're not going to do one thing and all of a sudden get married, right? Hopefully, anyway.
Hopefully not. Right. No. So this is going to be essential maybe in this class more than any of the other classes that we're going to teach, because this really is about building a relationship. Now, let me reiterate, everything in marketing is about building a relationship, but the strategy I'm showing you here will not work if you're not genuinely building a relationship with people. So when we talk about staircase marketing, it is the idea that you wouldn't walk into a bar and look at somebody that you find attractive and say, hey, would you marry me, right? You're going to say, hey, can I buy you a drink? Well, when you lead with, hey, buy my product in marketing, it genuinely is the same thing as saying, hey, will you marry me? So our goal is to help you build a relationship and understand how to build a relationship with either your customers or prospective customers that will get them to the place where they do want to buy from you and they do want to get married to you, but understanding that that is not where it starts.
And the reason we're using a staircase is because like each step is a small yes. So the more times people can say yes to you, whether it's just having a conversation, whether it's having a phone call, whatever it is, returning a message on LinkedIn or whatever, that's one more step on the staircase. And a lot of people skip all these steps or don't even understand that there are multiple steps in getting more business. Do you want to rant a little bit?
I like to rant. It's my favorite thing to do, right? So this is my number one thing that I'm going to tell you is you need to understand that LinkedIn is a business social media site. I chose this post. There could have been probably hundreds in my newsfeed at times that I could have chose. But the reality is this is not an appropriate thing for LinkedIn unless that happens to be your job. If you are a political promoter, then this may happen to be an appropriate thing for you to post. But your opinions, your thoughts, and your political point of views really don't have a place on LinkedIn unless that is actually your job.
Yeah, save that for your personal Facebook profiles, not LinkedIn.
If you really want to go there.
And not your business profile on Facebook. Let's, are we ready to jump in and start giving them some stuff to do, some actual stuff to do?
Right.
Okay. This is where you're going to get out your pens, your paper, and you're going to start taking some really good notes. And guys, this is stuff that you have not heard anywhere else. The way that we're going to do this is going to be real world. And the way we came about this is I was going through Amanda's stuff and I thought I got it perfectly. Apparently I did. Because like I said, she's the LinkedIn person. I'm not the LinkedIn person. So this is perfect because I was able to push back and say, I don't understand this. And so what we're going to do is show you some real world stuff. Okay. Not just a class where you take notes. No, this is going to be how do you apply this to your business? And like I said, ask questions in there. Remember, you can type questions into the chat box.
And there may or may not have been a little bit of arguing involved.
She was mean to me, guys. She was mean to me.
Okay, I'll try to be nice.
Okay.
You ready? Okay.
All right. So step one. It's all about getting the profile right, okay? So give us these 4 things you want to talk about when it comes to the profile.
Let's understand your profile, your personal profile. So understand when we talk about profile, we are talking about your individual user profile, not a business listing, okay? So this is Amanda Reed or Joe Burnich, not Reed Mobile Marketing or Big West Marketing. This is my personal profile. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the first thing that people see about you. It's going to be what people determine if they want to connect with you, if they care about anything you have to say. So this is their first impression
and most people do it wrong. I think mine's wrong. I almost guarantee if I go back through my profile, it's not going to match these 4 things. But go ahead. Let's talk about it.
So the first thing is in your description. The first thing you need to tell people is what's in it for them. This with them. What's in it for me? We've heard that a lot. This is a old sales idea or philosophy, but it's something that people forget to do. So you want to tell people what's in it for them, why they should connect with you to begin with, because that's the first thing people are going to see about you. So the second step is tell a story, give information that makes people think like, hey, that's me, or something that they can relate to. And then the third thing would be you need a solid call to action. You need to tell people what to do, how they want to contact you, anything like that, what you want them to do. Don't expect people to figure out what they should do. You need to tell them what to do. And finally, the last one is use hashtags. As of the date we're doing this webinar, hashtags are actually fairly new to LinkedIn. So understand a couple things about hashtags. And this is not just for LinkedIn, but it's in general, hashtag rules. Understand that hashtags are a search tool. A hashtag helps you find something. So if you think about it like LinkedIn is a whole entire house, if you only wanted to meet with people that were in the kitchen, you would use hashtag kitchen, and that's how you help find people that are in the kitchen.
And hashtags are like just to make sure I understand hashtags. You're going to be so if I wanted to find people that were interested in certain things, for example, I would put like the little pound sign in the search bar and then a word, right?
Absolutely.
So hashtag Missoula, Montana. I want to find people that are all about Missoula, Montana.
Absolutely.
As long as they're using their hashtags in whatever, their posts or their profile, then LinkedIn will show them to me, right?
Right. And I'm totally hammering this home because we're going to talk about hashtags throughout this and different ways you should use hashtags. And understand hashtags aren't unique to LinkedIn. Obviously, Twitter, Instagram are huge for hashtags. So these rules apply across social platforms, but as we talk about LinkedIn, you need to make sure to start integrating hashtags because that's a pretty new feature.
So you want hashtags that you think people are going to be searching for, and then you'll show up when they do that search. That's what it's for, right?
Absolutely. But I will say, one of my big rules is don't use nonsense hashtags, right? Hashtags are a search tool. So if I used hashtag it's Sunday evening and we're in Missoula, Montana recording a workshop, guess what? Nobody would be searching for that, right?
And I see people do stuff like that all the time.
Right.
It's like hashtag I'm painting my house today, or something like that. And so so everybody needs to understand that might be kind of cute and kind of cool, but it's not going to make anybody find you. So be careful.
Right. It just doesn't have a place in marketing.
And when I was playing with LinkedIn after I took your class to begin with, I started just searching around for hashtag entrepreneur, hashtag, and then there's a big one like Montana beer or Missoula beer, I can't remember, but stuff like that. And then breweries start coming up, stuff like that. So that would be an example. Hey, do you mind, Amanda, if we look at your profile to give everybody a solid idea of what we're talking about?
Sure.
Because it'll make more sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to type in Amanda Reed. That's you right there. And since we're connected. Okay, so when you're saying profile, you're talking about this stuff right here, correct?
Absolutely. So one other thing that wasn't on that slide that as we brought this up, I think I should point out is make sure you have a profile picture. And make sure it's a profile picture that people can actually identify you. I've seen all sorts of different profile pictures. And as we get into this, it'll make more sense. But if you're meeting with people one-on-one in any sort of capacity, you want them to be able to recognize you from your LinkedIn profile
So you don't
picture.
use logos here. You
Right.
don't use you and your dog, or maybe you and your dog, but you
Right.
don't use your dog.
Right.
I've seen people on Facebook, they've, a picture of them when they were a baby, or their dog, or one of their kids, or something like that.
Right. Or I've seen people use a profile picture that's probably 20 years old.
Yeah.
And it makes it really hard to recognize people. And we'll kind of talk about why that's important. But understand you want to use a profile picture that is personable, relatable, but is actually of you and a recent picture.
Okay. And so let's talk about the four things that we want in the profile. So you hit show more down here, and that'll...
Well, let's start with, this is the first thing right here where it says, I help businesses grow. That's the what's in it for anybody that's looking for anybody on LinkedIn. I want to grab their attention, and I want people to know that if they contact me, I'm going to help their business grow. That's what I do. So I didn't put mobile marketing expert first. I didn't put owner first. I put first what's in it for somebody, the benefit of them connecting with me.
And I know I need to go change mine right now because I just have my business name first thing. So, okay, but this makes complete sense. And this is when I do marketing for myself and a lot of my clients, I always want to say what's in it for them first, as opposed to talking about me. So this makes a lot of sense. So perfect. Okay, and then second thing we're talking about is what?
Is literally about your description. So here I kind of give people a story about, and it doesn't have to be a story of Bill and Jane walked into a bar, but that makes them think. So I talk about when was the last time you did these things, right? When was the last time you brought a quarter for a payphone, right? Or looked up a phone number in a phone book. I just am telling a story to make people understand and have it relate to them. So I tell this story, I tell people why it matters, and then simply right here is my call to action. That for me is the best way to contact me. It's a way that people can 100% just automatically schedule a time to talk about mobile marketing and the services that we offer. And then, of course, the last thing is hashtags. Now, I will say marketing strategy is my forte, so that's why that's the hashtag in there. That's what I want to be known for. And Brick and Mobile is a program I offer, so the only exception to the nonsense hashtags would be if you're trying to brand yourself for something and telling other people to use it and want to get found in it.
Cool. Okay, so this is making sense, and what I realize is most people, they put like a resume here.
Right.
And you're saying put a story and then tell people what to do right here. Mm-hmm. So in my case, I would say give us a call and let's have a quick conversation. Let's have a free marketing consultation, something like that. Down here, since I'm big on like web design and stuff, I might put like hashtag website marketing. I of course would do some searches to see what shows up a lot. And then I would decide what my hashtags are going to be. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I got work to do. Thanks, Amanda. Thank you for putting some more stuff on my to-do plate there.
No problem.
All right. So, okay, step 1. I think we covered everything here. Let's move on to the next simple thing we can talk about. Step 2. Okay, so who do we want to connect with? Go ahead.
So this is something I want you to actually spend some time thinking about. I want you to write down who your ideal customer is. This is all about who your ideal customer is. Now, you may have more than one ideal customer, and you would need to do this for each one. But basically, you want to say, what industry are they in? Are they in finance? Are they in banking? Are they in marketing? Where are they located? For some people, the location isn't a big thing. But if you're only doing business in your local town or state, then that location is really important.
Somebody's typing in here real quick and they're saying, well, what if I want to do every industry everywhere? It sounds like that's a common thing. Everybody wants to target everybody. What do you say to that?
What I say is the fact that you can't build a relationship with everybody everywhere, right? You would never talk to everybody the same way. Just the same as I maybe wouldn't say the same thing to Joe as I would say to my daughter. We're going to have a very different relationship and our communication is going to be different. Each of these people that you want to communicate with is going to be different. So you need to understand who you're talking to be able to set out a plan to start talking to them. So the other thing that's important is the size of the company. Are you looking for people that have one person in their company or more than 50 employees? Those are the types of things that we can really narrow down on LinkedIn and understand who we want to find. And then, of course, what sort of job title do they have? Are they the CEO or owner? Or are they an admin person? Are they a dentist? Are they...
Could be like the marketing manager or the sales manager, depending on what you're selling, stuff like that. Okay.
So this is individualized to what you want, the people you want to talk to. You really need to give some thought into who they are and what these aspects will, where they kind of fall in each of these questions.
Can we jump over to my profile real quick and then kind of see, like give everybody like a hands-on how you do this?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, where am I going to go to even do this research?
Okay, so you're going to start with the search bar, which is up in the left-hand corner.
Got it. Okay.
There you go. And then search for people.
So I just click on people?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Great. Okay, so now you're going to go to filters. So go ahead and click on all filters.
Okay, filters. See, I never would have known this stuff, honestly. This is kind of stuff, and I think this is why I was saying this is such gold, because it's easy to tell people what to do, but when it comes to what to click on, where to go, that's where this is gold. Anyway,
right.
Okay, so you're talking about like where they are, right? So,
right.
Okay, so let me I'm just going to put in Missoula, Montana to keep it simple for this example, and it puts a little check there. If I was going to be really serious about this, I'd be going for the United States just because of my type of business. But I know a lot of people here have local businesses, so go for your local city, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I just want to point out a couple things. If you were, for some reason, targeting people of a specific company, you can put that in here as well. So if for some reason you want to have 10 connections to be able to talk with in that specific company for larger corporations, you can do that as well. But for most people, industries is probably what they're going to want to target.
We've been working with a local financial company, you and I both have. So if I was going to go like financial services or finances... Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Oh, sorry, that just popped up. Okay. Financial services, let's use that. Okay, so I got to check there. And then schools, that doesn't really apply. Anything else I need to think about in this section?
Not really. And we'll talk about the paid LinkedIn portion later, but these are the filters that you can use with the free version, which is really where you need to get started. So don't worry about all the other things. You can look for different companies, and as you get going, adding in additional filtering things, but this is just to find people.
So that's a great place to start for everybody that's watching this.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go to search, people, filters, and then do locations and industries.
Absolutely.
Do I click this?
Click apply, yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now so these are the people that I already know. These people are I'm connected to these people already. I know these guys.
Right. So this is the other thing. And as we talk about messaging and things like that, you could go back, and if you wanted to send a personal message to any single financial person you were already connected with, this is a way you could find them as well. But anybody that says message basically means you're already connected with them.
So just message right here. If it has a message button, that means I can just talk to them, but I'm already connected with them.
Right.
But if I want to connect with brand new people,
right,
it's going to start giving me suggestions with the button connect next to it.
Absolutely. So the first thing I would do is when you're wanting to connect with somebody, go to their profile first.
So if I wanted to connect with Kai Hochstetler,
yeah,
he's got 21 shared connections, so might be somebody good to know. Okay, hold on.
Absolutely. It means you guys have 21 people that you guys are both connected to, right?
Okay, all right, and he's local too. Okay, so yeah, Missoula. So they were finding locations, Missoula. He's somehow in finance, impact investor. Oh, cool, because I'm involved with this startup challenge myself. I'm doing some consulting for that, some marketing stuff through the university. Okay, cool. So I would like to connect with this guy.
Okay.
Should I just click connect and I'm done?
No.
No?
It's not that easy.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So, I thought this was going to be you just make a few clicks and then all of a sudden sales start rolling in. Is that not?
It's just not the way it works.
Okay, so I probably need to go back to the steps here. I did some research. I found some stuff. Let's jump on to the next slide here. Okay, so reach out and connect. So tell me about this.
Okay, so we use step 2 to figure out who we should probably be connecting with. And let me reiterate something here. There's only 2 types of people you really should be connecting with on LinkedIn. People that are your ideal customers or people that can be network referral partners, right?
We need to write that down, everybody.
Absolutely. This method is not about who can have the most connection requests. It's about connecting with the right people. So
what are the 2 again? So in case they missed it.
So people that are your ideal customers.
Okay.
Or people that are your ideal referral partners.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that's the 2. So I'm not going to be, I could probably, connect with other like Google people and have lots to talk about and this and that, but they're going to end up kind of being my competitor. I don't know if I really want to spend the time and energy to connect with them, but if I could find maybe a social media marketer like yourself that we could refer business back and forth to, that would be a good example? Absolutely.
And I connect with a lot of other marketers that we can collaborate and refer business back and forth and things like that. But
and we'll get into those stories, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Specific.
You think I'm going to talk and tell stories?
Maybe a little bit.
But the biggest thing here, and I think the biggest misconception, is that the person who has the most connections wins. And that just isn't it. The person who has the right connections and can build relationships with those people is more likely to be successful on LinkedIn.
Okay, and then down here you said, so we're going to send them a request like I was asking about.
Right.
But then your note here is that we're going to make it personal, add a note. Okay, so can we jump back over?
Yep.
Is it time? All right. Okay, so we're back to this guy Kai who I'd like to connect with. He sounds like he would probably be a good referral partner if I was going to guess. He might be a good client too. So this guy fits both.
Right. And because of the stuff you're doing with the startup challenge and things like that,
we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Well, and he's a good person for you to connect with as far as making sure that goes well.
And he looks familiar. I think I've met that guy. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to click connect.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, here's the option, and here's where I talk about adding a note. You can just click connect, click send note, send now, and LinkedIn is going to send their generic so-and-so wants to connect with you. Joe Burnich wants to connect with you.
And I remember getting those, like, just the generic connect. And I always say yes. Why not?
Right. And I generally do too. But we're taking this from a perspective that we want to build a relationship with people. And beyond that, we want to stand out. We don't just want to be another connection request in their inbox.
Okay, so I'm going to connect with it. Let's do this live for everybody. Like,
okay.
I want to make sure I do this right. Okay.
Oh God, the arguing is going to begin.
So
okay.
I'm going to click add a note.
Add a note.
And I'm going to say hi. Make sure I spell his name right. Is that right? K-I-A-H. Hi, Kai. And see, this is where I get stuck. I'm just like, hi, Kai, and let's be friends. Let's be connections on LinkedIn. I mean,
right.
What should I do? What would be how do you do this? How do you do this?
So I do one of two things. I find something in their profile that's really important for me to point out. Or I simply say, or if we have a lot of common friends or anything like that, I just bring that into it. Or I'll simply say, I think I would really benefit from having you in my network. Will you please accept my connection request? So I make it all about the other person, that I'm going to benefit if they're part of my network.
Okay, so I saw that he was part of the Montana Startup Challenge. Should I say something about that? Should I say, hi, Kai, I noticed you are part of the Montana Startup Challenge. I'm doing some marketing work for them this year and would love to connect and pick your brain. Or is that too much?
It's kind of too much. And you did the one thing that most people do.
Okay.
Is you made this about you, not him.
Okay. Okay.
Right? So anytime you make something about you, it kind of screams sales.
Okay. And that's what we don't want to do. We want to
right.
get to know people and become friends with them.
Right.
On a personal level. Build a relationship, meaning.
So you could say something along the lines of, I noticed you're part of the Montana Startup Challenge. I really need to know more about this. I'd love to connect and chat with you further about this. Right? And so I make things very, very personal. I use language as if I would talk to a friend.
So I'd love to know more about this and chat sometime?
Yeah.
Let's connect?
Yes.
All right. Let me read through this, make sure my spelling's right. Hi, Kai. I noticed you are part of the Montana Startup Challenge. I'd love to know more about this and chat sometime. Let's connect. Okay. I'm not trying to sell them anything.
Right. And even if you think that this particular person may not be your ideal customer.
Yeah.
But what's key here is even if you think they would be your ideal customer, don't talk to them like they're dollars and cents, right? Don't talk to them like you're just trying to make a sale. Talk to them like they're a person.
So I'm going to send an invitation. Hopefully he'll respond, and then maybe we can do a phone call. Maybe we can go have coffee, lunch, something like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to click send. I'm nervous. Can I click send now?
Yeah.
Okay. Done.
Luckily, I know Kai, so he'll probably accept your
big
invitation.
Step. That's a big step. I've never done this before, everybody. Okay. I've always just done the normal thing everybody else does and just click through and connect with everybody right here. I just go through and hit these buttons and hope they magically turn into sales. But that doesn't
How's that working for you?
That's not working for me. All right. Let's move on here. Let's talk about step 4, and that is messaging. So I kind of tried to start a conversation with Kai there. Is that what you're referring to here?
Not really. So starting a conversation is a little bit different. So we personalize the connection request. So we stand out. So we tell them why we want to connect with them. And so we actually treat them like they're a human being. Mm-hmm. So starting a conversation happens after the connection request. So after it's accepted. And this can happen whether you send the connection request or you accept a connection request from another person. But this is the start of actually building a relationship with somebody.
Sorry, can you go? Let's go through all 4 of these, and then I'll get in and tell you where I get stuck.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So the biggest thing here, the first thing, as I said, we start a conversation. For me, that genuinely starts right as soon as a connection request happens. If I send someone a connection request and they accept it, one of the first things I do is I send them a message that says, thanks for connecting. You're somebody that I really value having in my network, but I really like to quote unquote know my connection requests. Can you please tell me about yourself and your business and let me get to know you, right? I genuinely want to know about that person. The reason being is I want to know how I can help them. And I don't know how I can help them unless I get to know them.
So let's say that again. Maybe we should have made a slide, but we didn't. Tell me again exactly what you say again so people can write this down and say it slow. Say it slow.
Oh,
please.
You want me to slow down?
I'm writing this down too.
Okay. Write faster.
Go. Okay, so somebody asks to connect with you, and what do you say? Or they accept your...
Right, so if somebody accepts my connection request, I will say, thanks for connecting with me. You're somebody that I really value having in my network. I like to, quote unquote, know my connections. Can you tell me more about you and your business?
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Okay, I'm writing this down. I'm not, I may not say it exactly like that, but you need to say something
right
close to that, right?
And it needs to be you, right? Like those are the things that I say because that's me.
So when Kai accepts hopefully he accepts my request to connect, that I'm going to say something like that. I'm going to say, hey, thanks for accepting this request, Kai. I value having you in my network. I'd like to know more about you. I'd like to know people in my network. Tell me a little bit about you.
Right, absolutely. So the other thing I do that not everybody does is if someone sends me a connection request, basically I accept all of them, 100%. And then it's almost like a 24-hour time clock. I give someone 24 hours to send me a message. If they don't send me a message within that 24 hours, I will send them a message back that's something similar that says, again, hey, thanks for sending me a connection request. And I do one of two things. Sometimes I combine them both, but it's what was it about my profile that made you want to connect with me? Like, why do they want to connect with me?
Let's write that one down.
Or the other one is very similar to, I like to quote unquote know my connections. Would you tell me a little bit more about you and your business?
And that's where people get stuck. That's where I was getting stuck on. Like Amanda was always telling me, like, just have a conversation with people. And I'm like, I can have that conversation. I just don't know how to start it. So this is good stuff. This is gold right here. The stuff that she just said right there could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars, even though we're not looking at people as dollars. It could eventually, after enough conversations, after enough coffee dates, lunch dates, whatever, actually turn into sales, correct? And that's what happens with you.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what happens with you.
It's exactly what happens. But it's about genuinely starting a conversation and getting to know people. I mean, we've said this over and over and over again, but if you're not making friends on social media, you're doing something wrong. And that applies to LinkedIn almost as much or more than any other social media site.
But we talked about the same thing with Facebook and everything. And so I feel like I can do it on Facebook. But LinkedIn's just, it seems like it's a different animal. But let's, and so the online to offline, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Get them onto a real live phone call. Don't just send them a link and say, buy my stuff or whatever. And say, hey, let's go have lunch. I think we could help each other.
Right. So a couple things there. It's, when I talk about adding value, it genuinely is something that benefits only them, not you. So this is not a sales pitch. It's about sending them messages that will benefit them and help them. Mm-hmm. And then the online to offline is basically you want to move them to a different platform. For a lot of people, that may be a phone call. For a lot of people, it could be in person. I like in person. Hey, can we meet for coffee? Can we meet for a beer? Can we meet for lunch? Whatever. The one thing I would say is don't move it from Messenger to email. I get that question all the time. Email is actually less personal than messaging. So it's almost like taking a step back. So the goal is to move it to a more personal form of communication.
And so some of those people that just want to sell stuff online and never have any interaction with people, LinkedIn may not be the best option for them. Would that be fair to say?
Right. It might not. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm saying if you do this and genuinely build relationships with people, it works.
Cool. All right. So so you uploaded a bunch of examples of this before we jump back into mine and I embarrass myself again. Let's look at some of the specific stuff that you've done. That's cool that you were willing to put some really personal conversations up here.
So basically, like this first one with Kate, I know Kate, I saw that she had a video uploaded, which was great, but she didn't have captions on. So I let her know that if she added subtitles, it's going to help people view it more because they watch most videos with the sound off. And genuinely, that is just something that I noticed that she had done that gives her the ability to do something a little bit better. It doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't sell me. It just 100% interacts with her and gives her value. This is another example. I hadn't talked to David in a long time, and I was going back through my things, and I was like, hey, let's connect again. So just because you haven't connected in a while doesn't mean you can't reconnect. But again, it's just starting out and finding a way to reconnect with them.
And I like that. That's another thing. That's another another little thing you can write down is, thanks for connecting on here. I think we met a few years ago because I've got a lot of people I haven't talked to in years. I hope things are going well for you. That's a great way to get a conversation started. Let's move on to the next one here. What about Bradley?
Okay, so we're going to talk a lot about Bradley. Bradley's what we consider a referral partner. So this is something I had sent to him when I first moved here. And basically I said, I have very limited focus, but I want to know other marketing experts so we can collaborate and I can refer people too. So that was like my first interaction with Bradley. Over the years, Bradley and I became friends. So if you look at some of our other messaging, it's very much like you're talking to a friend, right? So in the next message, he says things like, no sleep till Brooklyn, yo. How are things? What's new? Anything spill? Like we're talking to people like we're real people. And then, I'm saying, hey, are you adding jobs to your plate? What can I do? We'll sleep when we're dead, right? Here's the reason being. I want people to understand that they're my friends and I genuinely care about them.
So they don't have to copy this conversation that you're having with Bradley. You just get the idea that when you build relationships on LinkedIn, you're actually having long drawn out conversations before any sales or
right.
And sales may never be made, but at least you got somebody that you know personally. And is this the guy that you ended up you've only communicated with on LinkedIn and maybe some phone, and then all of a sudden you met him in real life and you guys were just friends?
Absolutely. So the first time I met Bradley in person, he was actually coming to Missoula. He doesn't live in Missoula, but he was driving to Missoula to teach a class for me. I had asked him to come and teach a class. And at that point, we had messaged for probably 2 years. We had exchanged phone calls and text messages and all these sorts of things. And I thought he was the perfect person to come and teach this class. And he happened to say that he was trying to do more teaching. So I was like, hey, come teach this class for me. You want more exposure? But when he got there, we both kind of laughed. It was the first time we had met in person, but it felt like I had known him for years because I had. And, since then it's turned into a great friendship and we still refer people back and forth and keep in touch.
So that's pretty cool, and so so I've done the same thing. I've talked about this in one of our other courses, our workshops, where I had met somebody that was watching some of my YouTube videos, and we ended up becoming good friends. He's been to Missoula probably 6 or 7 times from Los Angeles. I'm gonna go see him next month. So you can apply it in all these different mediums, but LinkedIn is one where people just don't seem to get it, and I'm not getting it until now. Like this is the first time
right.
I've really started to understand how you're doing this. Okay. So this is good stuff. And then we got some more here. And once again, we're just going through and showing how you're having these conversations. Okay?
Right, absolutely. And like with Chad, we're moving it to texting, 100% moving the conversation to a different platform. With Craig, I saw that he was no longer with the job that he had been working for. So I reached out to him to find out what he's looking for and if there's a way I can help him find what he's looking for.
Were you friends with him before that, or did you just kind of...
I met with him kind of communicated with him one other time, a couple other times, and it was just, I genuinely want to see how I can help people and how I can add value.
Got it. Okay, so here's all the stuff that you should be doing, and I see here we have a slide that is stuff that you should not be doing. Okay, so tell us what not to do on LinkedIn. What do people do wrong, which is, like we said before, is 95% of people do it wrong. The top 5% do it the way Amanda's been explaining, but let's make sure you don't fall into that bottom 95%. Go ahead.
I don't know how many times, and it's at least 95%. I accept a connection request, and the first thing I get is a sales pitch. Well, guess what? It's just not going to work. And I kind of give this example because it's kind of fun, but sometimes I'm just not nice and just ignore you. And then sometimes I tell you you're doing it wrong. But either way, when you just say, here's my sales pitch, it's not going to work.
When they're doing it wrong, maybe we can introduce them to this workshop in the future. Oh, you already did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. Okay, so don't do what everybody else does. Don't just come out with a, hey, this is what I do. Let's do business together. Just don't do that. Okay.
That really is like proposing on the first date.
And
nobody cares.
Yeah, and any of you that have played with LinkedIn before are probably completely annoyed by those people. And I get people from like India, like, hey, I do software development. Let's build you an app or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Like, come on, nobody's ever going to respond to that. And okay, here's the slide. That was Bradley. We went through that story already. Okay, and so tell us a little bit about this cross promotion, and then let's jump back into mine and see if I can do it right. See if I get it.
Okay. This is after all these hours. Let's hope you get it, right? No. So cross promotion just basically means that everything works together. These are two different screenshots from my phone. One of them is LinkedIn on the left and Facebook on the right. The funny thing is Facebook is advertising Facebook business on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is advertising their platform on Facebook, right? So if Facebook and LinkedIn understand the value of being on multiple sites and cross-promoting, it's something to pay attention to. So just understand that this works everywhere, and if you're doing something on LinkedIn, you can promote it on Facebook as well.
Yeah, and I haven't done that on LinkedIn, but I have done it with like Facebook and Google, Facebook and YouTube, stuff like that, but it applies to LinkedIn as well. And that's kind of another theme besides the relationship building that we're always talking about, is combining these different digital marketing platforms and strategies to just get ridiculous results. So, real quick, let's go back over to me.
Okay.
It's all about me, right?
It's always all about you.
But what I want to do is, let's just go back to my, I guess it's called a feed. Is that what this is? Mm-hmm. Oh, look, you popped up as the first one.
Imagine that.
Let's find somebody that, okay, I'm going to remember the two people I want to connect with are either potential clients or my target market, or I want to connect with referral partners. Okay.
Correct.
So, all right, let's see. See if I recognize anybody here. Wow, there's a lot of stuff that pops up quickly on this. Okay, so let's look at this guy, David McNamara, and let's see. Am I connected with him or not? I guess I am because it's showing up in my feed, right?
Yes.
Okay, he sounds familiar. I feel like I've met him, talked to him on the phone at some point. It looks like he is in like the home service business, and I work with a lot of home service businesses. And so EK Quarry Products, what if this is like a possible, person that I'd like to have as a client? So let's see. So I'm going to click on David, right? It's the first thing. I'm going to go to, he's in the UK. That's okay. Let's not the perfect example, but actually let's scratch this and go back.
Okay.
All right, Amanda, so this guy, Bill Yeadon, I just found here, he is somebody that I did a class for, and he's actually referred people to me in the past, but it's been a couple years since we talked. So would this be a good guy to connect with as a referral partner?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to click on Bill's name here, and then I'm just going to send him a message, right? So, okay, the little message thing pops up down here. Okay, so tell me if I'm going to do it. Tell me if I'm doing this right. All I want to say is something real simple to get a conversation started, right? Okay, I'm not trying to sell him anything. I'm not asking him for referrals. So can I just say, hey, Bill, we haven't connected in a while. We haven't spoken in a while. I just wanted to see what you're up to. I see you're still with John Don. Should I say something like that?
Something a little more open-ended, like so he feels like he wants to answer the question, right? So you want to end with a question, just like anything. Okay. But hey, Bill.
So I'm going to start typing this in here.
We haven't chatted in a few years. I would say chatted. Some people say talked.
We haven't talked. Yeah, I would say talked in a couple years.
Sometimes
I miss words, so I gotta read it 3 times before I click send.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, we haven't talked in a couple years. Okay.
You popped up in my feed, and I wanted to know how things are going. What's new?
You popped up on LinkedIn, and I wanted to know.
I wanted to see how things are going.
And then just how have you been?
How have you been? How's business? Anything like that.
Can I put both? How you been? How's business going?
Mm-hmm.
Let me read this again. Hey, Bill, We haven't talked in a couple of years. You popped up on LinkedIn, and I wanted to see how things are going. How have you been? How's business going? Okay, cool. I'm going to click send. And now I'm going to get a friendly conversation started with Bill. Hopefully we'll go back and forth like you did with that example for, and it may take a day or two before, and then maybe I'll get him on the phone at some point and say, hey, let's if you have a couple minutes, let's talk on the phone. I'd love to.
Right. And I do that frequently. There's no set number of times you have to message somebody before you take the conversation to the next level.
So
right?
online to offline.
Right. Okay. There are times when somebody says, I'm doing this, 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 and this. And especially if it's different than what they were doing last time I talked to them or something like that, I might quickly say, hey, I'd love to know more about it.
Okay.
Do you have time to have a quick phone conversation?
This is great. This is very simple and everything. The part that I got stuck on before, as you know, this is where she yelled at me, everybody.
Yelling might be an extreme word.
She screamed at me, and it hurt my feelings. But anyway.
I apologized.
What I got stuck with was the add value portion. So let's say that Bill and I, tomorrow, we start chatting a little bit back and forth, and I'm learning about what he's doing. He's learning about what I'm doing. All that good stuff. Okay, probably keep it on business related. And then how do I give him value? Like, give me an example of that. It's like, what would he say and how would I respond to use, the add value portion of your lesson here?
Right. So adding value is something that they need. So he may say, I'm looking to meet somebody in Missoula, Montana that works at the Chamber of Commerce. Okay?
Okay.
Or I'm looking to meet somebody in Missoula, Montana that's really connected with a lot of small business owners. Whatever. So you're like, hey, I happen to know the director of membership at the Chamber of Commerce. Let me put you guys together, right? I am giving something to them that doesn't benefit me at all.
But that's not going to get me sales with Bill. That's not getting me referrals. That's not getting me sales. So...
It isn't.
Okay, so...
But it really is about, I have this philosophy of giver's gain. The more you give to other people, that's how I generate sales. Is I not only become the expert, but I become the connector, I become the resource, and I become the person that people value in giving them what they want or what they need.
What if okay, cool. Very good. And what if I'm talking to somebody that is a potential client? Like before, I was looking at this guy. He owns a high-end, Oriental rug shop in Indiana. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start a conversation with this guy, ask him how his business is going, all that kind of stuff, and hopefully get, some back and forth going. And I asked you, if he's stuck with, how do I get more reviews on Google? Because that's something that I feel like I have a lot to offer when it comes to that. And I was like, oh, well, I've got a video that I made, or I have a PDF that I created. Should I just send that over to him? And you didn't like that idea.
I didn't at all. That is the point I yelled. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This really is giving value without any benefit to you. So you may say, hey, I've had some ideas. Here's what's worked for me.
Let's everybody write that one down. And write that down and put a star next to it. Here's what's worked for me, because that's when it kind of hit me that no, instead of sending him some of my content that's probably going to try to upsell him on services and stuff like that, instead I can say, here's what's worked for me in getting Google reviews, because we got 60 some Google reviews right now, 5-star reviews. So I'm going to say, hey, here's what I've done in the past to get Google reviews, and then just kind of leave it at that, and just let the value sit, right?
Absolutely. And it's really about giving them something. It's about having a conversation, not getting them into a sales funnel, right?
And I'm not forcing value. I have to just wait and see if there is an opportunity to give value. I can't just force value onto somebody. Is that right?
Absolutely. So that example is great when you say, here's what worked for me. If you'd like to talk about this, let me know and we'll schedule a time to chat, right? So you're doing both, adding value and trying to move the conversation from online to offline in the same message, but it's not forced. It's like, if you have questions, I'd love to answer them, but you're not trying to sell your products.
So I'm not going to say, I have an awesome way for getting 5-star reviews. Here's a link to my program on how to do that.
Correct.
That's not the way to do it.
It's not the way to do it. Okay. And these questions come up in normal conversation. If they don't, you can ask flat out, what's your biggest challenge right now? Where are you trying to grow? Those sorts of things. But even like we had talked about, if you know of a resource or an app or something like that isn't yours.
It's not yours. That's the hard part for me to get my head around. So.
Right.
Because I always want to just give people stuff that I sell.
Right. And if you are the expert and you have the best advice, rather than sending them the PDF, you just simply say, here's what's worked for me, and you let them know.
So here's something really important I think that we need to talk about. And I do see some questions coming in, guys. Don't worry, I'm not ignoring these. And if we don't get to these questions today, we will be able to get to them later. They'll actually come to us in an email, and we can respond to you guys by email, and we can have a conversation, whatever it takes. But real quick, what I want to address here is now that I really see what it takes to make LinkedIn work, I don't think I'm going to pursue LinkedIn, at least not yet. I think I could make it work for me. I don't want to spend time having conversations doing that. I'd rather use my YouTube strategy, my Google strategy, the stuff that I've got working right now, instead of this. What do you think about that? I mean, it sounds like this is not for everybody.
That's the interesting thing about marketing, and that's why we're doing a lot of these classes. There's no one thing that works for everybody. There's no one here's what you have to be doing. If you're the type of person that is good at, enjoys building relationships with people, I genuinely care more about adding value to that relationship than I do about getting sales. That's what makes this strategy really effective.
And that's what I've never heard anybody talk about this stuff at all when it comes to any kind of marketing, really, is that everybody's telling you need to do LinkedIn, you need to do Facebook, you need to do any YouTube, Google, whatever it is. But hopefully what you're realizing, and what I just realized, is that maybe it's not for you, or maybe not yet, maybe not at this point. So I'm going to put LinkedIn on the back burner. I am going to hang out and talk with Bill a little bit because I really like Bill. And I actually do want to get our relationship going again because he actually referred me a lot of business at one time. But what I can tell right now is I don't want to spend my time chatting and having conversations with people over LinkedIn. I feel like my time personally is going to go into other things that, number one, I enjoy better, that I'm better at, that I'm more comfortable with, that I have a better system already in place for. But I think that's a huge realization for me and probably a lot of people that are watching this right now. Okay, so...
And that is the key, is that you can go all in, or you can say, hey, I need to have a conversation with Bill.
Yep.
And I need one or two referral partners that I've worked with before that I really want to start to work with them again. You don't have to spend hours a day. Now, if you're committed to this, I guarantee you spending hours a day will get you results if you do it this way.
It is a time commitment, and it's going to take some energy, and it's going to take some creativity, and it's going to take some... You need to be social. I mean, it is a social network.
Right, and I have to say, I think I did, and I have to say, like in our conversation before this, I said, I feel like this is the best free way to build for marketing, right? It takes time, right? Marketing is time or money, and this is 100% time. And then you came right back and said, no, for you, the best free way is creating info videos on YouTube, right? So there is no one solution. It's just understanding that it is all about building that relationship.
And that's why we have all of these different videos in our collection of workshops so that you can, find what works for you. Let's move on. Marketing is communication. So look, we've talked about this before. I think this is a slide from one of our other ones.
Right.
But this goes back to it's communication, it's building relationships. Success in marketing depends on your ability to build a relationship with consumers and the loyalty they have to you. Okay, so once again, we want to talk about staircase marketing. We want to talk about how you don't propose on the first date. You build the relationship before you sell anything.
And I think with LinkedIn, this is even more essential when we talk about marketing, or the messaging part of this, is you have to think of it as if you were sitting at a bar or sitting at a coffee shop, and someone that you didn't know came up and sat next to you, and you wanted to start talking to them, right? You're not going to sell them on whatever it is you have to sell. You're just going to have a conversation with them. And that's really what this strategy is all about. And there's very small steps and a lot of little yeses along the way.
And that's a good exercise to picture yourself in a bar or a coffee shop or whatever, and having somebody come sit next to you, kind of overhearing a conversation and seeing if you can, chime in and help them out. Let's move on to the last part of LinkedIn, and this is a little bit unrelated to the relationship building part of it, but it does overlap. But that is you want to be the expert on LinkedIn. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things about LinkedIn, other than the fact that I get to be super social and make friends, because I do like that part. I can't help it.
Yeah,
I'm good at it. But you actually get to establish yourself as the expert. That should be one of your goals on LinkedIn, is to establish yourself as the expert. So this is the list of ways that you can do that. You can write articles. This is original content that you are coming up with, that you're publishing to the LinkedIn world and to your connections. So that is all original, you've done it content. The other thing you can do is post helpful pictures or videos, sorts of things. These are usually quick tips, ideas, things that you're trying to help people to understand. Articles generally tend to be a little bit longer in length and more in depth. These posts are shorter but still provide value. The other thing is obviously share other people's information, share other people's stuff. When you agree with something, or if you read an article somewhere else that would be really helpful for your audience, share that on LinkedIn. But here's my thing with that. Always, 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 when you're sharing other people's stuff, take the time to give your 2 cents. Write a sentence or two about why this matters, your thoughts on it, or why this is applicable to your audience and why they should read it. Don't just hit share and not say anything about it. And then, of course, use hashtags. That's going to be what helps get your information found. And use the hashtags you want to be known for.
Nice. Okay, real quick, let's. Do we have time for some questions here?
Sure.
There's a few that popped in that I just want to, that I think there's several questions that keep coming up over and over.
Absolutely.
Let's hit those, and then the more specific questions we'll be able to answer for people one-on-one through email, or if we want to have a phone call conversation, something like that. Real quick, before we just be the expert stuff, can we use your profile again and see some of the stuff you've done? Okay. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to switch gears like that. But let's go back to LinkedIn. Let's go back to Amanda's. Okay, there you are. And then how do I look and see what your articles and stuff are? Okay, right here.
Right. And so that's the most recent article that I've published.
Okay, and you maybe see different ones when you go and start looking at it.
Right.
But yeah, so you got an article on basically how to not waste money on marketing.
Right. And my biggest thing in this is that something that I've said a lot is if marketing isn't making you money, you shouldn't be doing it. So I like to change what people are saying about marketing. And then I offer other value as far as marketing myths, and I call that things marketers tell you to get your money. And then obviously I have the hashtags in there that I want to get found for.
Yep, there's the hashtags right there. Simple stuff related to the article. People are actually searching for these hashtags. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that we all could see, an example of what you're doing. And I'm sure I'm sure people are going to, on this workshop, are going to find you, look at your stuff because they want to see how to do it right. You're probably going to make a bunch of connections from this workshop.
I hope so. It's my favorite thing to do.
Yes. Okay. So I'm sorry. Let's go back. I didn't mean, since we interrupted there. Let's go back to some questions here, real quick. What about people that a lot of people are asking? What about the paid version of LinkedIn? I know you can pay for some kind of LinkedIn stuff. Tell us about that. Right. Whether or not we should do it.
Okay, as far as paid LinkedIn goes, inevitably the question that comes up first is, do I pay for LinkedIn? I personally do. The reason being, I have my strategy down solid, I've mastered my strategy, and I care a lot about the numbers. I want to have more access to more information and more numbers that I don't have from the free version. Now, I will tell you, for most people, you do not need to pay for LinkedIn. You can do everything we taught you today without ever paying anything to LinkedIn. This
is all free.
This is all free. You can do this with the free version, and 100% do not pay for LinkedIn until you've mastered the free version.
And then people are also asking about like LinkedIn ads. I know you can pay, just like with Facebook ads or whatever, you can pay to have advertisements. It has nothing to do with all this posting and all that stuff. It's just you pay to have like an ad show up in LinkedIn somewhere.
LinkedIn ads is very beneficial if you're in the business to business space, right? That's where your people are. And as we've talked about in any sort of marketing, any sort of advertising, the number one rule, I guess, in how you determine if you should use it or not is based on, is that where your people hang out? Is that where your audience, potential customers are? Now, that being said, it in and of itself is not a marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. So, do I think LinkedIn ads work? Absolutely. Do we use them? Absolutely. We generally use them, as we talked about, in cross-promotion and in conjunction with other platforms as well. So, making sure that you have a strategy in why you're paying LinkedIn is really important.
Okay, what we need to really focus on, simple things, which is number one, we want to do some messaging, connecting and messaging, and we want to make sure that it's all very personal, very helpful, and that we're adding value.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm going to say number one, even though you called it number one, we'll have a battling number one. Make sure your profile is set up right. Tell people why they would want to connect with you and what the benefit of connecting with you is going to be.
Let's do a quick recap here so that everybody is on the same page and remembers exactly what we do, because there's basically just 5 things. Number one, we want to get your profile right. Okay?
Absolutely. Let people know why you benefit them, why being connected with you would benefit them.
Okay. And then we want to know who to connect with. That's where we went through with the filters and we found the area and like the industry and all that stuff. So we want to do that. Next thing is we want to connect with them. So you connect with them, but you do it on a personal level, right?
Make sure you add a note and don't just do the canned LinkedIn, what everybody else does.
Okay. And then the build a relationship part, where we're going to go back and forth and get to know each other and hopefully go from LinkedIn to something else like a phone call or lunch or something like that, from online to offline. And then the final thing is we want to, establish yourself as the expert by creating articles, videos, etc. Okay? And that's it. Is there anything else we want to add to that? That pretty much covers it all.
Can I add more?
No.
Okay, then I guess we're not adding anymore.
No, there's definitely, Amanda has some advanced techniques, but this is all you really need to get started on LinkedIn for free and really get some clients, get some business, make some friends, build relationships, and just really, really have success on LinkedIn. Right?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say it again, and I will probably say it 100 times throughout the course of these courses. If you're not making friends, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, if you go just for sales, you're probably not going to do well on LinkedIn. Okay, and if you want to find us on LinkedIn, of course, Amanda Reed and Joe Burnich, that's the spelling. Search us up, connect with us, and let's build relationships. Let's get this going.
Absolutely. I'd love to know more about what you're doing and what your story is.
Okay. Thank you guys. Like I said, we will get back to you if you typed a question in there. Of course, you're going to see. We encourage you to check out all our other web classes. We've got all these other workshops and on all kinds of things, digital marketing. And like I said, we hope to connect with you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.